again, I will probably make a brief introduction for those who will be watching this video. So we are here with Zaki from Cosmos to talk about working together, to talk about the integration, talk about future plans, development, and everything exciting that awaits us and Cosmos together. I'm Maria, Chief Marketing Officer of Guarda Wallet, and welcoming Zaki.
Yeah, I'm Zaki. I'm head of research at Tendermint. I've been working on the Cosmos project for many years. Yeah, great talking to you. I'm familiar with Guarda Wallet because of your phenomenal integrations with Zcash. I was on the first Zcash Foundation grant committee, so
wow.
I remember all the way back then reviewing your grant, and it's great to see that progress has been made there. So you guys do great work. So
thank you. That's a pleasure. Yeah, our work with Zcash has been fantastic, and so it's great that you're perfectly aware of that, literally. So now moving on to probably some questions that I have sketched up about Tendermint and about Cosmos and about ATOM and about everything that's been going on. I am not very technical, but I would love to know more. Let's put it this way. So what is the main point of creation of Cosmos as such?
Okay. All right. So I have a new way of explaining this that I tried out yesterday, and it seemed to go well. I'm going to take another shot at it this way. Okay. You're gonna get the new explanation.
Okay, that's exciting.
So the new explanation is, okay, so think about this as there are, let's say, I think of the world as containing two kinds of blockchains. One is what I would call slow blockchains. So Bitcoin, Zcash, Ethereum, Monero, all of these are what I would call slow blockchains. And they're slow in the sense that it takes a long time for transactions to confirm. Block space is very limited. And so, but like what they are is they've been running for 10 years. They are extremely reliable, and they host large amounts of value. Now, it became very clear when Jay, who's the founder of Tendermint, started working on bringing BFT consensus research to the blockchain world, and as it's become clear that this was actually going to work, that we were going to get this whole universe of fast blockchains. So fast blockchains are like are Cosmos blockchains built with the Tendermint, the Cosmos SDK. The stuff that Near Protocol is building, the stuff that Solana is building, the stuff that Ethereum 2.0 is building. That world is the world of fast blockchains. So when we started, having realized that there was going to be these two worlds, we started working on Cosmos because what we realized was that in a world where there are fast blockchains, there's this really great opportunity to connect all of the fast blockchains. So this is this vision of this protocol that we call IBC, inter-blockchain communication. And it basically allows all of the fast blockchains in the world to interact with each other. And using protocols that are from the 90s that were sort of invented by the founders of Agoric, who were working on IBC. And IBC then becomes this it allows this whole fast blockchain economy that we're building to accelerate and advance very quickly because all of these blockchains can interact with each other. Tokens, assets can move between them. You can build complex economies around these systems. So really what the vision of Cosmos is to do two things. One is to connect all of these fast blockchains, starting with blockchains that are built using the Cosmos SDK, into one big economy. The second piece is to connect the slow blockchains, where all the value is, to the fast blockchains, using a variety of different techniques that we're working on and collaborating with other projects on. But that's the vision of this world. And what we have been focused on sort of this so far is demonstrating that like the fast blockchain ideas work, that proof of stake works, and then building IBC as the primary permissionless extensibility model of Cosmos. So that's what we're doing.
So, okay, so Cosmos Hub, as far as I understand, is this thing connecting all the slow blockchains into like a mega system. I read.
Well, it's actually a system that's so the Cosmos Hub is mostly about connecting fast blockchains.
Okay.
Well, the Cosmos Hub is a fast blockchain. It's about creating this network of fast blockchains, and then there will be this other piece of connecting slow blockchains.
Oh right. Okay, that's pretty.
And so, because you can't use the same techniques to connect fast blockchains, and or the connections between fast blockchains can use a different set of techniques than the connections from fast blockchains to slow blockchains. And then you've seen some work that is very complicated around trying to connect slow blockchains together. But that's not the word. Like what I'm expecting to happen is we're going to be in this, like we're in this period for probably the next 5 or 10 years where a lot of value is going to live in slow blockchains. You know, like Bitcoin dominance, we expect to continue for at least the short-term period of time. We expect the value in, we expect the transition from ETH 1.0 to ETH 2.0 to be relatively gradual. So you have this challenge, which is, but like fast blockchains are what offer like a great developer experience. You know, you can build applications like TrueStory and PewDiePie and like DLive, which have like enormous numbers of users and an experience of using them that looks like a sort of modern web application rather than like a slow blockchain application. But there has to be this interstitial tissue between all of these things. And that's what Cosmos, and that interstitial tissue is not just about software and protocols, it also has this economic component. Because the economy that has to be secure and credible and trustworthy to the users, and that involves adding an economic layer to the whole thing. And sort of that's the sort of key piece of what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, so this is super exciting, but also it certainly needs lots of development going on. When it comes to connecting, let's start with the slow blockchains because like there's definitely a lot of emphasis on this big notions like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these guys. But what kind of challenges do you need to overcome to kind of connect it into some kind of a system?
Okay, so let's take the first challenge around the slow blockchains is they mostly use proof of work, and when they're slow blockchains when they use proof of work has no notion of finality. So when you want to connect two blockchains together, if you don't have any notion of finality, it becomes very difficult for one blockchain to essentially to take a proof of an event happening on a blockchain and take it to another blockchain and be like, look, this event happened. Because you can only offer guarantees that are probabilistic. That it's like it will cost this much money to cause this event to revert. So what we are finding is that the keys to making sort of slow blockchains connect to fast blockchains are two pieces. One is building out this like distributed custodial infrastructure that we see with projects like what Keep and Suma are working on with TBTC. These are all the sort of core components of like distributed custody of like a single Bitcoin address with like hundreds of signers using techniques like multi-party computation. And then also you have this whole like economic punishment mechanism. So like so the basic model of slow chain to fast chain interoperability is one of two things. One version of it is I send my Bitcoin to some address that's run by some group of functionaries. Those functionaries are then the people who are responsible for saying, okay, I have like this Bitcoin transaction is from our point of view finalized, and we will be accountable for it not being reverted. And we will then, I'll take my, I'll take my Bitcoin on the, like these functionaries will say, okay, we received our Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain, and we will issue Bitcoin on the, Cosmos Bitcoin on the, into the Cosmos IBC network, and we will be the people who are slashable or vulnerable or liable to be harmed to, if that transaction gets reverted on the Bitcoin blockchain, or we steal the funds, or any other number of terrible things happen. And they'll do this because they'll receive payments, for doing this. And the motivation for doing this will probably be offering accessing some sort of decentralized lending and other kinds of like sort of advanced, like what you see on Ethereum with DeFi in this ecosystem.
Okay.
So that's the world of slow blockchain to fast blockchain interoperability. There is also going to be, I think, another world that is mostly about integrating at layer 2. So just where you're not so much converting your Bitcoin to sending your Bitcoin to some set of custodians that then give you Cosmos Bitcoin on the other side. But you'll also have, I think, layer 2 solutions where you can just quickly move payments back and forth. I think Interledger is a very promising part.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting solution. And actually, from the point of how it all works and the system that you are implementing right now, has there been attempts to make the same thing happen before, or are you kind of like building it from the total scratch?
So, what I would say is the space of slow blockchain to slow blockchain interoperability has been the space of slow blockchain to slow blockchain interoperability has been kind of like a goal of or a vision that people have tried to make happen for. So I guess I should start out with a different point of view. All blockchains are inherently interoperable. All blockchains are public databases. You can always read data from one blockchain, and like the data on blockchains is generically somewhat verifiable, is always verifiable. So therefore, you can there's a sense in which all blockchains are interoperable. But people have been trying to make blockchain to blockchain interoperability for slow blockchains happen for many years at this point. And the usability constraints have always been so terrible that nobody ever was like, okay, this is great. So really, what Cosmos and Tendermint did is create basically one of the world's first fast blockchains. Probably in terms of the amount of trust people have in it relative to its speed, I think probably one of the world's sort of best or most first widely adopted fast blockchains. So we have this Cosmos as a fast blockchain toolkit, and now we're exploring the whole world of what can now be done about fast blockchain to slow blockchain interaction and fast blockchain to fast blockchain interaction. And our whole hypothesis is that fast blockchain to fast blockchain interaction is actually going to be a great user experience and is going to enable like all of these amazing things.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I have been browsing around a little bit prior to our interview through Cosmos website, Cosmos Hub, all the stuff, and I've seen a little bit on that Cosmos is fast, versatile, and secure. And of course, security as a person who works on the wallet is very important. And so, like, how exactly is security reached? Probably. So, what makes Cosmos super secure comparing to other solutions?
So, one of the things that we really focused on with I would say one of the big sort of focuses of what we did, how we've developed Cosmos and Tendermint is we have tried to strike a balance between performance and simplicity. So Cosmos is fast, and Tendermint is fast. It is not the fastest possible thing. It is because what we focused on is simple, readable, understandable code, extremely rigorously analyzed protocol development, enormous investments in security audits, enormous investments in our bug bounty program. Like, we have rigorously developed this system with the goal in mind that it would be widely trusted by large groups of people. So, Tendermint and Cosmos is kind of unique in the fact that it is this like proven, well understood, widely adopted development kit for building a blockchain, and that what we've really gone for is a goal where people who use our software are really able to build on top of this massive investment in security that we've.
Sounds fair. So, how many people actually took part in all this audits and building and all the process of making Cosmos happen? Like, it's hugely also community or core. How did it work from the point of development exactly? You said bug bounty, so there are lots of.
We were able over the course of 2018 to both really solidify the core dev community. Here's the way to understand this. In terms of developers who work on like Cosmos related software, there are developers at Tendermint, there are developers at the Interchain Foundation, there are developers at Binance, there are developers at all kinds of projects like Terra and Iris and Wino, who all work on top of the software. So there's this there's a large community of people who sort of like are independently developing stuff on top of Tendermint and Cosmos, who are contributing things back to the core protocol. We have large numbers of, we also have we don't, our bug bounty community is a lot less active because the number of bugs are much fewer than they used to be. But we, over the course of 2018, I think we paid out like $40,000 in bug bounties to more than a dozen people who would find sometimes fairly serious vulnerabilities in our software. And so we had this, and then we had this incredible game of stakes process where we've held the first competitive testnet, and that helped build out our validator community. Our network launch was the first decentralized launch of a proof of stake network. 67 validators participated in launching the network. So yes, it's a very distributed, amorphous thing, and it becomes harder and harder, or it becomes more complex every day. And ultimately, what we will be successful if launching IBC kind of 10x's all of this, and like we see variants of Cosmos sort of popping up just from like all kinds of different teams and all kinds of different people all over the world. because that's what we're going.
So it's kind of like the vision of very decentralized scaling kind of thing.
Yes, we're trying to build a new decentralized economy, not and like largely an economy that extends well beyond the Cosmos hub, well beyond like sort of the vision of Cosmos is a system that is inherently sufficiently scalable that you could run the global economy on top of it. You could every single person on Earth could be interacting with Cosmos blockchains every day. Like the system is scalable enough for that, and so that's and that is a much bigger vision than any organization I think really wants to, and or it would be against the spirit that we did all of this stuff for. If there's one organization that is driving all of that, the whole point is to create these tools, give them away, and build a rapidly expanding economy around.
So what do you think are the necessary steps that Cosmos still needs to take to kind of become closer to this beautiful vision of completely decentralized, super scalable thing that you have described?
Okay, so the first and foremost thing is we have to ship IBC. We need to get the minimum viable product of IBC out over the course of the next few months. The next, so the whole summer has been spent on this very rigorous process of specifying how IBC is going to work. The next, till basically the end of the year, is going to be this very a process that I expect to be as challenging as launching the Cosmos Hub, of now getting the first version of that specification into testnets, getting people excited about building on top of it, getting validators, software developers, wallet developers, all of these different people to start getting a feel for what this completely new set of interactions and capabilities, what they can do with this, and then launching a permissionless IBC system on the Cosmos Hub, which will then give rise to hopefully what the expectation is a whole lot of new innovation in terms of the Cosmos ecosystem at an even faster rate than what we saw with the launch of Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK.
Yeah, because when Cosmos launched, actually, how old is the project itself? How long has it been in the development? Because
okay, so Tendermint started 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The Cosmos idea and the decision to sort of build Cosmos came about in the summer of 2016. The Cosmos public fundraiser, which is what gave rise to the initial Atom distribution, was April 2017. Cosmos Hub mainnet launched in March of 2019. In April, the Cosmos Hub decided that bootstrapping was complete and the proof of stake network was stable, and then it started to enable token transfers, and then and that gets us to here. So sort of March, April the network has been live for people to interact with. We've had people building on top of the Cosmos SDK since early 2018. So this is this whole world that has come into existence.
Yeah, because I remember when the mainnet went live, it was a massive, massive hype everywhere about it. And so we were obviously part of this hype because, come on, we need to be if we want to do something in the space. And so this has been it was such a big event, and everybody was interested. The wallet developers were interested, so everything kind of went moving from that point. So this is why I'm asking how long is the project actually in existence, because I vividly remember the hype in the beginning of this year.
I think it's to some extent it was there was a lot the Cosmos fundraiser was just right after Gnosis. and raised a relatively small amount of money by 2017 standards. We had 17 million in Bitcoin and Ether, and so there was a lot of hype kind of right around that time because the Cosmos fundraiser, the money was raised in 30 minutes. It was kind of like the first signal to people. It was like it sort of a lot of people got excited about it because people sort of realized that there was going to be an opportunity to raise a lot of money, and then people kind of forgot about us. And then people sort of started to remember that we existed again when we did Game of Stakes. And then, launch went very well, far exceeded my expectations, to be completely honest. And then we ended up with the system. And so now people are sort of rediscovering that Cosmos exists. And, Binance decided to build on us, and Terra decided to build on us. And so we actually started to see significant amount of usage on our system. And obviously those are really strong endorsements of the underlying technology. And now I think we're sort of now into this phase where, okay, the initial hype is starting to wear off, which is, a good thing. We're starting to see how the economics of the system perform and under various conditions, which is going to be an extended learning process unto itself. And then we're going to see also the, now we have this IBC launch that we need to do, and that has its own challenges.
Why do you think this initial kind of forgetting process happened after the ICO?
Well, I would say that, so two things. One is the token did not exist. And I think you'll see just from as an organization, we are not out there pumping or promoting the token. The token is a vision, okay? And the vision is that the token will bring together a group of people who are able to use the Cosmos network and use the underlying blockchain technology to build a sort of institution that will play an important role in this IBC-enabled economy that we hope to see emerge over the next couple of years. But it does not further that vision to be out there being you need to buy the token, hype. So basically, we're an organization that promotes technology, that promotes a very long-term vision for how we want the world to be restructured, and we're sort of all very dedicated to that mission, rather than really focused on any sort of or rather than being let's do I think a lot of the things that people tend to basically a lot of we're still in this phase in cryptocurrencies where we don't really have users, and we don't have use cases really. We have three constituencies, which is software developers, investors, and speculators. Those are our kind of three categories, and this speculators mindshare is very price and hype driven. The software engineering community is still relatively small, but obviously Cosmos is very popular in that group of people, and then the and the investor community is out there quietly making their bets and interacting with these systems. So I think just to I'm excited about Cosmos is I think I would say that the next stage after IBC is that we are an organization that can start and we as a community can really start focusing on relevance to not just cryptocurrency people but to the broader world. But IBC is a necessary ingredient to get there.
How do you think can I actually kind of connect the other world and the cryptocurrency world? Is there any kind of vision that you have? It doesn't have to be precise. It can be super abstract. But
Well, I know what I want people to get out of it. I know, um, I know what. So what I have right now is I know the feeling that I want people in the broader world to get out of this technology, which is a feeling of control and transparency and sovereignty, the ability to like work with their communities together to create new things without asking essentially for permission um, from governments, banks, etc. In terms of how they want to structure their affairs. And whether you can think of every Cosmos chain as kind of just like a next generation cooperative. And I people don't want to be part of actually the way cooperatives, even though they exist, actually are structured is incredibly cumbersome and inconvenient. So if we can make it sort of a something, so like what I want is this feeling of membership, community, citizenship, to be available to everyone. And I think blockchain technology is a great way of doing that. But I still don't know exactly what the set of incentives that need to be designed so that would actually be something that large numbers of people would want to participate.
so there is no recipe yet, at least. But
Yeah,
well,
but a lot of the challenge was, you know, when we looked at this world when we looked at when we started out this journey and we looked at the world of slow blockchains, we were like, none of these things are systems that large numbers of people can participate in. It's not possible for everyone on Earth to own a Bitcoin.
yeah, that's
Not
certainly
on the
fair.
Bitcoin blockchain. Like like the Bitcoin blockchain can't. Like these systems are not sufficient. Like the slow blockchain systems that we built were not sufficiently scalable that like you could even if you could get the incentives right, it would even be possible for everyone. Like you would be a victim of your own success. Like you figured out the incentive design, you came up with an incredibly compelling value proposition for lots of people to participate in. Great. Now you broke your system because now everyone in the world wants to participate in it, and it's not going to work. Like, you've crypto kittied the system times 100, and so we needed to put together a basic set of technological building blocks in order to get to a world where now the focus on incentive design is what will then get people to the point where like you actually have a thing that like the entire world can participate in on top of technology that can credibly scale to the entire world.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I don't have any recipe from the point of a wallet either, but it would be beautiful to see these worlds connect at some point
Well, I
because
mean, I think like one of the big things that we need to do from an incentive design point of view, and we haven't done this yet in Cosmos, but it's sort of it's definitely a goal. I think we're going to start seeing this initially with the next upgrade of the Cosmos Hub. So probably on September 24th, the governance proposal hasn't passed yet, but we're going to be upgrading the Cosmos Hub, and the Cosmos Hub is going to get some like DAO-like capability,
oh wow, okay.
where it's going to be able to use the voting mechanisms that are built into the Cosmos Hub to send atoms to people from this pool that has about 150,000 atoms in it. And it's going to be an interesting experiment, but like one of the things that I think is really broken about incentive design in blockchains right now is that we don't have any in protocol mechanism for compensating wallets. So like wallets can sometimes make money from cryptocurrency trading. One of the things that I think is what I've been talking to a lot of wallets about it, and I'm like quite excited about, is I think a lot of wallets are adding staking to the wallet.
Yeah, us too. So.
One of the things I think will be a cool business model there is you can have, I think, validators advertising inside of wallets is going to be a big thing. I think that will be a thing, but I think it will also be possible in this sort of new generation of fast blockchains to actually have in-protocol compensation mechanisms for wallet developers to actually incentivize building great UIs. Because right now, like, the current version of blockchains, like all of the incentives are kind of towards protocol, like core protocol improvement and like security, like mining or validating. And we don't have any incentives towards supporting the UI layer, and we're never going to get to large scale adoption if we don't actually figure out ways of compensating and incentivizing folks like yourself, like deeply embedding that in the protocol. So these are areas of incentive design that I'm really excited to start experimenting with in Cosmos, and like what I talk about, like when I say that, like if you like look at step one was make fast blockchains possible. Step two is make fast blockchains interoperable. Step three is figure out incentive design to the point where like we actually start to use incentives to like eliminate all these barriers to adoption.
This is very structured. Like, I like this vision. This sounds nice, especially from the point of a wallet. Also, I have two very abstract questions that are kind of like more of a wrapping up kind of thing.
Yep.
Can you name two other projects that get you equally excited as Cosmos and Tendermint do?
I'm pretty excited about, like, there's a lot of stuff in a lot of layer one protocols that I'm pretty excited about. I kind of view, as I think I've indicated, I don't view Cosmos as just limited to the Cosmos SDK or Tendermint or blockchains that are built on top of that. I view Cosmos as the entire world of fast blockchain. And so if you look at like all the other people who are building sort of interesting things in the space, I think what Coda Protocol is doing in terms of using zero knowledge proofs to like compress the entire blockchain is really exciting. I think CeeLo is also doing some interesting stuff also with BFT and zero knowledge proofs. It's actually really great that like I said, I'm really pleased that both of those projects exist because they're both exploring directions that I've wanted to explore for many years. And I was like, okay, like if no one else is working on this after Cosmos is like sort of out the door, I'll go work on this. But I'm like, great, someone else is doing it, good. Hopefully they make progress, and they're making progress. And like we can just share those innovations and build things on top of them together. So those are probably those are two projects that are doing a lot of work. I collaborate and Cosmos collaborates a lot with the Ethereum Foundation on ETH2 stuff. Like I said, our goal is fast, scalable blockchains for everyone, and sort of connecting the world of slow blockchains to fast blockchains. That's kind of like we are much less in terms of attitude fixated on taking like our thing and tearing down other people's things to build up our thing. We just like we anticipated that there would be a lot of things. That's why we designed the system the way we did.
Actually, what brought you to working on Cosmos? Is it some kind of a vision, or actually what's your more or less background, and how did you get interested in the space? What brought you here?
So here's my story. I was not working in anything related to distributed systems or blockchains. I was building scientific instrumentation for about 8 years. I started to realize that the same shitty, insecure code that I write is also the code that runs everything else in the world. And so I got more interested in security. I got involved in civil liberties and human rights work. I started an organization called Restore the Fourth, which is a national privacy organization. Through that, I met a bunch of people who were involved in cryptocurrencies. So I started learning about Bitcoin. One of my friends who I started that organization with introduced me to Jay. But I went off and worked on enterprise blockchain stuff for 3 or 4 years. In 2017, in 2016, I was spending a lot of I would work on public blockchain stuff as like a hobby, and then like enterprise blockchain stuff as my day job.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking a lot with Vitalik and Vlad and Dominic from Dfinity about sharding. I was incredibly frustrated. By what we now call the adaptive corruption problem, which is what happens if evil validators take over a single shard of your sharded blockchain, and then recovery is basically more or less impossible from that situation. So the failure condition for sharding is really bad, and so I wanted to come up with something, and so that was an alternative. And I was aware of this work from the 90s that the people who are now the founders of Agora had been working on back then. And I'm like, oh, they had an entire system that where you could, in a coherent way, deal with adaptive corruption. Parts of the system fail. And so I was like, can we adapt that to this world of scalable blockchains? So Jay and Ethan originally pitched an idea to me that they called Supertanker, that was connected Tendermint blockchains, but it didn't deal with the adaptive corruption problem in any way, shape, or form. And so I was like, here's your problem. Somewhere in the system, there will be evil validators. And I'm like, so why don't we take this work from the 90s and mix it with what you guys are working on? And that was Cosmos. And at that point in time, I was like, it was unclear. I was still doing my enterprise blockchain thing. Then in 2017, I sort of realized that I came to a realization that enterprise blockchains were kind of pointless, because enterprise blockchains can extract small efficiencies from business processes, but the possibility of public blockchains is actually to collapse many different silos in finance and financial systems into single unified systems. And that is far more exciting than building, extracting these tiny little efficiencies from business processes. So then I started working on public blockchain. So I spent most of 2017 sort of just dealing with the consequences of the ICO boom with a bunch of different people, helping Tezos and Cosmos and various other projects deal with the consequences of the ICO boom. And then 2018, I was entirely focused on launching Cosmos. 2019 launched Cosmos. 2019 has mostly been about dealing with the launch of Cosmos, the validators now being viable things, and getting IBC ready. And so 2020, I expect IBC will be out in the world, and then I don't know what I'll do next.
What do you think would interest you equally after launching IBC? So where would your personal path go there?
Well, once we launch IBC, I think we are going to see a vast acceleration of innovation in the cryptocurrency space. It will no longer, we'll go from a world where, you have to raise an IC, let's say you want to do some, do a significant new experiment, either incentive design or cryptography or protocol development or any of these things. You want to do a variant on the way proof of stake works, or try and explore all of these different possible designs in these systems. Right now, your options are you can launch it on Ethereum, which means its scalability is inherently limited and you're not building a global scale system. Or you can do an ICO, build a new protocol, have to launch an entirely new self-contained economy. Or you can lobby sort of governance on existing chains to add your ideas. These are your options today. All of these options are terrible. once we have IBC, like it will just be like, oh, I want to run a new experiment. Like I'll launch a new blockchain with me and my 3 closest friends, and then we can scale. We can sort of build from there. Either the idea will be good and like we'll have to scale this thing, or it'll be terrible and it'll die, and it won't. And it'll be really cheap and easy to innovate. And I'm much more excited about living in that world than I am the current world, which is frankly like, it's great that all of this stuff exists, but it's still pretty frustrating.
Okay, that's a clear vision of what you want, certainly. But we want certain things too as a wallet, and what we want at this point, because we're kind of running out of time, is your advice on how do you think cryptocurrency wallets should behave this year and moving on?
I think so. What I would say is, I think that there's a couple of things going on. So I think this year is, I think one of the biggest challenges of 2020 is going to be how noisy 2020 is going to be. There's going to be a lot of new protocols launching. There's going to be, it's just going to be like, there's going to be like a new layer 1 protocol in 2019, like every month. It's going to be madness. And many of them are going to be technically interesting. A lot of them are going to be proof of stake. So one is, I do think, I think 2019 is a good year for wallets to be kind of preparing for the proof of stake world, and figuring out how they can have better, like be more profitable, have a more incentive aligned businesses in that proof of stake world. I think the second piece is going to be, and then the other thing that they can be preparing for is they can try to standardize more of the integration processes. Like I think Trust Wallet is doing a really good job of this.
No, we're doing that too.
Have,
it's just like kind of gradual.
Huh?
We're taking care of that too. It's just kind of gradual, but like
you're like having like a well-defined integration path that like a new protocol that's come up can just be like, okay, like I just need to submit like these things to these people and get an integration done. Because like it's going to be the only way to sort of deal with all of the noise of 2020. And then I think as the noise of 2020 kind of subsides, what we're like, I think then the position wallets have to really look at is actually try and figure out which of these protocols are actually going to like figure out incentivization for the end user, like the end user interfaces, so that like they actually create an incentive alignment between wallets and protocols around delivering a great end-to-end experience. And the first people to get those right, and like that wallet community, I think will take over the book.
Thank you. Okay, there's definitely something to consider for us as well from your advice. Also, it has been a great pleasure talking to you, and we are super excited to have ATOM in our wallet. So probably we're going to look into having staking.
Yes.
I think that sounds definitely good. And thank you for the advices on the development and all the exciting things that you have told us. We're going to publish it. We're going to publish the video. First, I'm going to edit it quite a little bit because I talked a bunch.